To draft your basic sleeve, first measure the length of the armhole curves of your front and back patterns. Okay, so here I'm measuring for the back, that's 9¼ inches, and then for the front, that is 9 inches. Okay, so we are going to add these two measurements. So 9 and then 9¼ inches. 9¼ is the same as 9.25. I'm going to add the two and we're going to have 18.25. That is 18¼ inches on our measuring tape. Now get a pattern paper. You can have it on fold or it can just be half of this. But when you're cutting, you cut on fold, okay? We mark our starting line, which visually represents the edge of our shoulders, where our sleeve starts from. Then we have our 4-inch cup height, which is half of my armhole depth. Then 8 inches, which is the length of my sleeve. This is a short sleeve. Now let's square out those lines. Remember we had 18¼ okay. That 18¼ we are going to divide into 2. And it's going to give us 9 and then 1/8 of an inch. Alright, so we mark this diagonally from the starting line to the cup height line. You can also use your short ruler. This is the measurement. Sorry, your long ruler. Now on this line here, we are going to divide into 4 parts. So first I'll divide it into 2 equal parts. Then I'm going to divide that into another 2. So that's 4 equal parts, okay? This is just a demonstration of how to do it with your measuring tape, so you don't have to be racking your brain. Now this area here is where the curve of the sleeve is going to pass through. At the last point, come down by 1/4 inch, and then at the first point by 1/2 inch, and then the shoulder line by 1 inch. These are all arbitrary measurements. In short, we want the bottom part of the curve to be shallow and then the upper part to be a bit broad, okay, so that it can cover the flesh at our back. You can do this curve differently. You can come out by different measurements just to achieve the style you want. So after measuring, I have 9¼ inch, which is the same as the measurement for the back pattern. So I don't need to adjust this. Then I come down, mark 7 inches, half of my round arm measurement, and then connect the point. At this very point, I can mark my 90° so that I have a smooth joining, okay. Let's make it deeper so you can see it better. What this is going to do for us is that when you stitch, you're not going to have any pointy edges, okay. So here I'm marking the outline. And the same thing here. Now we are going to be drawing 1/2 inch allowance around the sleeve, but at the bottom we are going to make it greater than that. You can do 1 inch or 2 inch depending on the style you're going for, okay. And then we curve this part, we tilt it a bit, all right, so it's not straight. That way when we bend it, we get the perfect line. And this curve on top is our 1/2 inch allowance for the top part of the sleeve. Okay, I'm going to measure it after I'm done so that you see. That is 1/2 inch. All right, 1/2 inch. All right, we can cut this and then we'll make some adjustments for the front just to make it a bit deeper to fit our front armhole curve better. Okay, so you can cut it this way and you automatically get your tilted seam allowance at the bottom. So this is what we have, and this is it when we open it up. Now at the part where the curve crosses the diagonal line, we are going to come down by 1/2 an inch, and then we are going to connect it to the various ends to make a new curve for the front pattern. So you notice this curve is deeper, just like the curve on our front armhole front pattern. Okay, front bodice pattern is deeper than the back. That is the same thing we are doing here. And then we mark the allowance as well so we can trim off correctly. So this is it in detailed form. Our new curve and then our new seam allowance. Okay, let's measure it. 1/2 inch, 1/2 inch, and then 1/2 inch. That is our seam allowance. So we are going to trim the excess away. And then our sleeve pattern is ready. You can measure the length of the front. Let's try it. So this is me measuring the length of the new curve for our front pattern. And I have 9.5 inch. Okay, so that's just 1/2 inch above what I want, and I can just ease it in or cut it off when I'm done stitching.